The East Kootenay Invasive Species Council, or ECISC for short, is a nonprofit organization based in the East Kootenay region. We are dedicated to mitigating and managing the negative impacts of invasive species across our landscapes. Invasive species are plants, animals, and microorganisms living outside of their natural and native range. Their introduction into our East Kootenay ecosystems, like here in the Elk Valley, cause serious damage to the environment, economy, and social values. The Elk Valley is known for its pristine wilderness, so when invasive species were first detected, ECISC and others jumped in to form the Elk Valley Invasive Plant Management Project. The Nature Trust of BC's Big Ranch Conservation Property is part of a bigger plan to tackle invasive species in the Elk Valley and contain species from occurring in high-value wildlife habitat areas in the upper Elk Valley. ECISC involvement in this project includes coordinating the inventory and treatments of invasive species and by monitoring the long-term effects of treatment, while also educating the public about the impact of these invasives.
Species of main concern at the Big Ranch property is caraway, and caraway is found along the creek system here, and it reduces forage, and this is a really important area for elk species and other ungulates. We're driving up to the Chauncey Todhunter Access Management Area, and this is where yellow hawkweed was first discovered in the high elevation grasslands, which is what precipitated this entire Elk Valley Invasive Plant Management Project. Essentially, the focus for Todhunter is managing the yellow hawkweed, which has moved along the road network into the cut blocks and then ultimately into the high elevation grasslands, which are the preferred overwintering habitat for Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep. We're now in the Chauncey Todhunter Access Management Area, and this place has seen a lot of impacts from logging. We are standing in a cut block right now in an old decommissioned logging road, and this has been the pathways for yellow hawkweed to get into the high elevation grasslands, which is that critical habitat for bighorn sheep. The yellow hawkweed is problematic because it spreads really readily. It's rhizomatous, so it can grow from seed and just from creeping in the ground, and it will impact the forage species. And because these habitats are so limited, they really are necessary to have very high nutrient value for these overwintering bighorn sheep. Monitor in this area, looking at all the species we can find and seeing what the impacts of our project is on the target weed species, and also how the native species are coming back after removing those invasives.
And the good news is, invasive plant cover saw significant reductions after treatment, and the lower levels have remained stable in the following years. The positive impacts on the landscape is evident in our annual photo documentation.
Of hawkweed a couple years ago. It was treated with herbicide, but it wasn't seeded, surprisingly. All this grass you see here is agronomic grass, and it came up from previous seeding. So all this grass was in the seed bank, and since the invasives were removed, it gave an opportunity for all this to germinate. And this grass is really awesome at outcompeting hawkweed and other invasive plants, so in the future it'll make it harder for the invasives to come back.
Despite progress, the issue of invasive plants in the upper Elk Valley persists. It's crucial that we collaborate to advance invasive plant management for both public and private entities. And you can do your part by practicing plague lingo and reporting invasives. The work and efforts of the Elk Valley Invasive Plant Management Project owes its success to the invaluable support of our friends and funders. We really couldn't do what we do without these guys. If you want to know more about ECISC and other projects, or learn more about the Elk Valley Invasive Plant Project, visit our website at www.ecisc.com. You can help prevent the spread of invasive species in the Elk Valley and the rest of the East Kootenays by volunteering with us, donating, becoming a member, subscribing to our newsletter, reporting invasives, and following us on social media. Help us spread the word, not invasive species.